Hey everybody, this is the AME television show, and we are going to be doing something fun here. I got one of my dear friends here. We've been to school for a long time together. We've known each other for a long time, and I'm so happy because we're going to be talking about the Patriots today, both of our favorite teams, and we've been through the tough times, we've been through the great times, and it's fun to be able to say that because there's so many people that I know that say. I ran into somebody the other day. It was really funny. And he goes, "Oh, you're a Patriots fan?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm a Patriots fan." He goes, "I've been a fan since Brady." I said, "Well, that's been a while ago." He goes, "Yeah, it's their first quarterback." I was like, "Oh, my God."
Well, that just means you're getting old.
That is.
We've had plenty of quarterbacks before Brady, and the fact that we've gotten to enjoy Tommy Boy for the last 20 years has been a true blessing. So
I truly believe that, too. I mean, I remember what went through my head watching Bledsoe go down. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to suck. And then here comes Brady. Barely win. He did not win that game, but I don't think he could. There wasn't enough time to really do it. But then when he beat the Colts, I'm like, oh, we might have something here.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of talk. Truly, the first three Super Bowls that they won, the team that we're looking at today looks a lot like those three.
Yeah.
Especially the 03-04 teams where the defense was just lights out. And you can see it's almost like I read an article the other day, and I won't be able to quote it, but it's almost like Belichick saw the writing on the wall that maybe Brady might be slowing down just a little bit. Said, well, let me give him some defensive help because he may not be able to carry the team. But I know that's for any Patriots fans out there, that's probably blasphemy for me to say that out loud. But I mean, the guy is 42. So, but he looks phenomenal. I was waiting for the show to start. I was looking at Twitter and looking at his TB12, and he just put out a video today. And the dude, I mean, he's only working out with rubber bands. It looks like. I mean, I don't know anything about working out. But he looks jacked, and he admitted before the preseason. He said, "I put some size on because I'm going to take some more hits this year." Like he knew something was up. So,
right.
We'll see.
Well, not only has he done that, but I watched where he threw the ball at 63 miles an hour. Mahomes did 61.
Yep.
I'm like, my God, he's in his 40s. I mean, he's looking great. I don't see him slowing down anytime. But I think you're right. One of the biggest things that I always worried me about the team is that we would put up 7 and our defense would put up 7, give up 7. And it's like, I mean, Brady had to be on it and score almost every time in order to keep us there. And I didn't think that was fair for him.
And truly last year, I mean, if you think about both Kansas City games, if it was really the quarterback with the hot hand who had the ball last, was going to win both those games. And that's what happened. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it's interesting to see your comment about the fastball. He says he's throwing the ball faster now than he did when he was a rookie.
I believe it.
And it's all about technique and taking care of yourself. And I wish I had half the effort to take care of myself the way he does, because maybe I could throw the ball maybe 10 miles an hour. But it's a 63-mile-an-hour fastball with a football is mind blowing.
And then you remember in the off season here when he was on the Jimmy Kimmel show, they went out and threw that ball at I forgot whose house it was, and he split right down the middle of that second story window, right down the wood. I was like, yeah. I was like, my God. And I found out that really was, they could do it on one take, but he really threw that.
And they said it was first take. That's amazing. And that's awesome. So,
I mean, I don't see him slowing down anytime soon, but he does need to be taken care of. I do agree with that.
Absolutely.
At the age of 40, it doesn't take, but a couple hits to sideline you. And he was playing last week injured too. I mean, he spent most of the practice week sidelined, and I'm glad that they sidelined him. But he didn't look 100%. But that Bills defense is no joke either.
No, that is a legitimate top 5 defense. There's no doubt. And anybody talking crap about the AFC East, sure, you can talk crap about the bottom two because those teams are garbage. But Buffalo is going to be around, and they're going to have something to say at the end of the year.
And not only that, we play them all the time. I mean, if anybody plays us tough, we could probably go out in Kansas City and probably beat them easier than we beat the Bills, Jets, and Miami. And they keep saying, why is that? It's because they know us so well. We play them twice a year.
Absolutely. And it, you know, that I think you saw that stat I shared the other day. You know, Tom Brady's record in Buffalo as compared to the last 4 starters they've had in their franchise. It is amazing what he's been able to do against that franchise. But there's not too many blowouts. No. Remember, I don't remember exactly which year it was now. And when we lost game 1, 31-0 to Buffalo, when Lawyer Malloy was on the Bills, and then we finished the season and beat the Bills 31-0. It was like a polar opposite, and they went on to win the Super Bowl. So
I believe that was 2003 because it was right before we went to it was the year that we went to the Houston, the Super Bowl in Houston. So it had to be 03, 04, something like that.
I wouldn't doubt it. It's fun. I mean, as much as the people talk about the AFC East, they're still playing a professional football team. Maybe it looks like Miami's trying to tank and trying to go after and get 2 out of Alabama or something for a quarterback. But, man, that is a bad football team. But they're still professional athletes. They're still going out there trying to win. Some of these guys are driven clearly by contracts. Some are driven by stats. Some are driven by pure ego, a la Antonio Brown. But or psychosis or a little bit of mental health issue, which is scary if that's the case. But, you know, they don't want to go out there and lose. They're not getting – I mean, I take their money and lose all day long. But I prefer to take the money and win and enjoy it because, I'd cash a check either way, but it's much more enjoyable when you go out and celebrate with the boys instead of going out and trying to drown your sorrows, you know?
I hear you. And, you know, one of the things that, like you talked about stats and stuff like that, I was watching the Eagles and Packers game last week, and, you know, twice Aaron Rodgers was down within the 5-yard line, first down and goal. Not once did they try to run that ball. They blew it. They turned the ball over on downs at the 2-yard line at the first shot, and then on the second shot he throws an interception just like Russell Wilson did in the Super Bowl. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you're not even going to try to run the ball once. You know, you have the ball 4 times. You're trying to go for the touchdown, the passing touchdown. I see what you're trying to do, but the Eagles are got a tough defense. I mean, they still do.
You see what they're trying to do, and you know the Eagles know what they're trying to do. But what's the difference between that? I mean, what's the difference between the Packers over the last few years and what we have been able to watch? And that transition, no, listen, 2007 was a fluke year. Brady throwing 50 touchdowns and 23 of them to one guy. I mean, Randy Moss was a monster. And most of those 23 touchdowns were all Randy Moss just going up and getting the ball. Yeah, and Brady was having a good time slinging the ball. Mm-hmm. The running game was okay that year. The defense was not that good that year. So he had to outscore those guys. But the difference is as the years have gone on, and Aaron Rodgers isn't a spring chicken anymore either. I don't know what he's trying to prove, but the balance that Belichick has brought back to this team, and, you know, I just absolutely blanked. Losing our fullback, Devlin, losing him to the IR. That was a tremendous hit to our running game, but it's still balanced. They're still handing the ball off, and if you're first and goal inside the 5 twice, New England is going to run the ball twice, and if they have to, they'll throw the ball. I mean, that's what's going to happen. That they have their default short goal line stuff or goal line play calling is run game first, and stop us if you can. And I think we're going to dovetail into some conversation about the offensive line to see if that can happen. I mean, this is a good opportunity this week against the Redskins to get right. It's a great opportunity for these guys to continue to learn the system, continue to learn Brady, continue to learn what the concept is and what the success is in New England. But because this is truly, I'm going to sound like a jerk maybe for a second, but warming up the first 3 games, Pittsburgh surprised me. It was an extra. It was week 5 of the preseason, and then the Dolphins, week 6 of the preseason. The Jets, week 7 of the preseason. We finally had a game and against Buffalo, and that was a hell of a game. It was nerve-wracking. Yeah. because I truly I want them to win every single game, clearly, but I know Buffalo's going to be tough at the end because they're 3-1, and we've had a few years where the Patriots have wrapped up the division by week 10, week 11. Well, Buffalo's going to be there. They're not going to be able to, unless we beat them the second time, but that's not till the end of the season. So it's going to be interesting. But now we're going back to Washington, and I mean Jay Gruden just announced that Colt McCoy is going to be starting quarterback. I don't know what he's trying to do. I think Jay Gruden is trying to get himself fired out of Washington. I think he's given up. I know they got a rookie quarterback, can't think of his name right now, and they don't want to ruin him. But you make the call on Friday who your starting quarterback is. What kind of game planning are you doing up there, especially against the Patriots? And maybe it's because they know they're not going to win. There's no chance. But hey, it's week 8 of the preseason. That's what it is. And I wonder about that too. Is that going to hurt New England? Having no competition these few games. Buffalo was, they got punched in the mouth a little bit, and New England's offense they weren't able to overcome. I think Jules was a little beat up still from that chest injury. Losing Antonio Brown the way we did suddenly, I don't understand why he's such a factor so quick, but who knows? This week is a great opportunity to get right and have some fun and get some guys in there that may not have had an opportunity to go. But I tell you what, I think our biggest concern, I think you'd agree with me right now, our biggest concern is probably, it's not the receiving core, it's probably the offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, that offensive line last week, every snap, Brady was running. He was rushed, almost touched. We could not run the ball because we had no open line, no open gaps or anything for us to do anything with. And, I'm sitting there watching. I don't know why I joined some of these Facebook groups on Patriots stuff, because they're like, oh, we're crap. We're junk. I'm like, no, you're sitting there yelling at Brady for throwing the ball away because he goes, you can't even throw the ball accurately. The man's throwing it off the back foot, running out of bounds so he doesn't get injured. On
a hurt calf. That's what he's a calf injury too. And I don't, Tommy's he's not gonna take hits. Yeah. And he's going to throw the ball away occasionally, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not stat driven. If he goes 9 for 20, but those 9 completions are all for first downs or big gains, he doesn't care if he misses 11 balls. It doesn't matter. It's about winning. It's about the team and winning. And speaking of that, how awesome was it to see Slater get his first touchdown last week?
Oh yeah.
And watching the celebration, they compared the celebratory picture of him celebrating, having a touchdown. He's been a special teams captain for decades. It feels like 2 decades. It's clearly not that long, but the exact same expression in the end zone, arms extended, just like he did in college. It was great to see.
Yeah.
The epitome of a Patriot he is. That was awesome.
Now in that Buffalo game, what really got me fired up towards our defense is not only did we come into that game only giving up 6 points since the Super Bowl, right, with defensive points, but with all those penalties that we got, and they were down within the 10-yard line, sometimes even closer than that on first down, and they didn't even come away with a field goal.
Yep.
I was shocked. I'm like, my God, that makes me feel better because I know that I can watch the game, and I'm not going to be sitting here at the end of my seat screaming and hollering at them, why aren't you stopping them? Because that's what I've been doing the last couple of years, and then everybody's like, well, we need big receivers. We need, big names. And I'm like, no, we've done it without the big names. What we need is coverage to stop the opposing offense. We got to be able to stop them. If we can't stop them, it doesn't matter how many points we put up. We're going to have to outscore them every time we get out there. And that's tough on the offense.
We have a tremendous secondary, a tremendous linebacking core at this point. Hopefully Hightower's feeling a little better this week. Honestly, if anybody's dinged up this week, this is the week to take them off and just, treat it like another bye week. It sounds horrible. But in the front line, Jamie Collins is a freak. And that is an amazing talent. And I bet you, I would venture to say that he is playing lights out the way he is because he got the taste of what it's like to live in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I hate to sound like that, but and tell you what, I'm kind of rooting for the Bills. I'm sorry, the Browns, because you remember growing up and watching these 1-15, 2-14, 5-10 teams that are just absolute garbage, but loving them no matter what, not missing a game if you could. So, right. No doubt.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to touch on this week is obviously the return of Benjamin Watson. I mean, everybody's been saying we don't have many weapons, but he always clicked really well with Brady.
Yep.
And without Gronk, I think he's going to be a really good complement for our offense. He knows the scheme already. He knows what it's like to play with Tom. I know he came back, he was retired and stuff like that, but I think he's going to bring a real special piece to that offense that we've been missing.
What's good about Ben Watson? He is passionate about the team, the players. He's clearly a player rep for the NFLPA. He's always about positivity, which is awesome. But man, he's had a pretty decent career. Has some great quarterbacks thrown to him over the years. I mean, it sucks that Drew Brees got hurt in New Orleans, but as an example, when a good team loses one player, they're still winning, and their defense is lights out too. But anyway, Ben Watson coming back, absolutely. I don't know. I don't recall, and I guess I should have done some research. I don't recall his run blocking ability, so that may actually help the offense some too. I was hoping to get a little bit more out of Izzo. But he was making some mental mistakes, and you could tell that Belichick kind of got tired of that, and I think they benched him last week. But Ben Watson is a presence, and he looks great. He looks like he's in great shape. So I'm hoping they'll get him in. They'll get him like they did, I think, like what they did with Antonio Brown. They'll get him involved early, see what they can do. And I'm just hoping for a quick blowout so we can rest the starter some more.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So.
One of the things that really kind of got me this week was Gostkowski. He's always been a very pivotal person for us. We can always count on him. And obviously the last couple of years, he's been missing a few more than he should have. And now we find out that he's going on injured reserve for a hip surgery that's going to end the season. This makes a lot of sense. I was worried about him, but if you have a hip injury and he's been kicking the way he has been, I think they've been prolonging the inevitable. And I don't know if that's because they didn't have a backup for him, really.
Well, I know this. This one actually shocked me a little bit. Knowing how much of a control freak, I'm going to say that, Coach Belichick is, why wouldn't he handle this in the offseason? I know the players got some say in how he's going to get his own treatment. I think they tried to rehab it, and I think he aggravated it early, and I think that's what happened. I mean, you missed 4 extra points in 4 games. That's not good, and I'm glad he pulled the plug. Truly, right now, get Nugent in there, get him in, and just get him kicking again. Because I mean, kicking a field goal doesn't matter what team you're on. It's about just lining up and kicking the ball. I'm not minimalizing. It's not an easy task. But this sounds like doesn't sound like the Patriots handling a situation, and usually the Patriots do. They're real good about managing those kind of things. And I guess I'm sure doctors were involved. I'm sure there was some decisions, plenty of discussions. But Gostkowski's been an amazing kicker for us since Adam left. I was almost hoping when Adam was talking about retiring, hoping he'd retire and then come sign to New England. But I got glad the Colts kept him on. So think about this, and since 1996, this will be the 5th kicker. The 4th kicker that we've had on the roster, because Gostkowski got hurt before. All that time, Vinatieri was there; he never got hurt. That says something. But we've had 2 Hall of Fame kickers in the last, since 1996, and we both know how 1996 was. That's a long time ago. Still high school years, barely. So.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember those years. Now, I think one of the things that people are going to want to hear about, and that's because the fact it's the lore around the Patriots, is the cheating. And so we see something coming out in the Facebook feeds and everything else that the Bills coach went and took Belichick and his son off the field because they were staying on there too late and that they were trying to spy. I don't believe that. You saw something a little bit different that I didn't see. Tell everybody what you saw.
Yeah, when they pointed the video out to me, I didn't see Coach Belichick Sr. on the field. I saw Junior Stephen on the field with another staffer. But I know the head coach is pissed, and I'm sure everybody that involves with the Patriots over the years, all those things, everybody keeps saying, are there asterisks attached and engraved into your ring or whatever? You know what? Some of those things are embarrassing. But I don't care. Is that wrong? I don't care. I mean, it's and I hate this. This is not how I live my life. And people say, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But that if there's a competitive edge you can gain by, lingering. Everybody does it. I mean, when Spygate happened, that was obviously the biggest thing. Everybody was doing it. It's just that New England got snitched on and I hate to sound like that, they got snitched on and then they got caught and they got made an example of. But everybody was doing it. I don't know if you've ever seen the website yourteamcheats.com.
Yes.
Now, the caveat to that is a Patriots fan created it, but New England is nowhere near the top of any kind of league fines or suspensions or. I mean, Patriots but when the Patriots get caught, they get caught and they got hit hard. I mean, that Spygate resulted in a $500,000 fine and then a first round draft pick loss. And then when the deflated balls happened, when New England beat the Colts by running the ball, if Brady never threw the ball, it would have won the game anyway. And having a deflated ball when you're running the ball doesn't matter. And I'm assuming, and I'm going to stick with the story, that was a weather phenomenon. I don't care. Whatever they said. Honestly, I just don't care. Because, I mean, Brad Johnson was accused of paying a ball boy $15,000 to scuff up a football before the Super Bowl. There's been tons of things that happened that it's because it's New England, it becomes amplified, but maybe it's because it happens all the time. Something comes up. I honestly haven't heard anybody squawking about it cheating. I've seen the video, but it was pregame warm-ups are ready to, I mean, there are cameras everywhere. I have a camera right here. I carry it in my pocket every day. So anybody can do any of that stuff at this point. But what are they going to gain out of a warm-up? I mean, truly
stretching?
Like you said earlier, this team knows the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Bills inside and out every year. You don't think Belichick's scouting them as soon as the offseason's over? I mean, they play 8 games against each other. So why wouldn't you start preparing early? And I don't think being out during a walk or stretching or during a national anthem is gonna sway the game. It was tight, and if it was a 30-0 blowout, maybe people would talk about it less. But I don't think there was anything there. Now, Steven Belichick is starting to. You've noticed he's risen up the ranks.
Yeah.
He was just the old man's kid. Next thing you know, he was a special assistant, and he's moving up the ranks. And I would truly envision, because respectfully, Coach Belichick he's calling a defense right now. We don't truly have a defensive coordinator, but that's kind of what happened. I mean, Flores was calling it last year, and somehow he got the job in Miami as he was a linebackers coach by title. Yeah. So, and maybe that's why Miami's garbage, but Belichick's calling defense this year. And I don't know if you saw the video of him. Make sure you guys are walking around and don't confuse them. And that's all he was looking for. Get everybody moving. That's become a meme. It's pretty funny. But Steven Belichick, I think, is part of the future. And I wouldn't doubt, truly, if when Bill retires, which, I've predicted, if they somehow win, I'm not going to really. I knocked. I got the dogs barking. Hey! But if they win the Super Bowl, I think Brady and Belichick ride out together this year, because there's no way anybody's going to get 7. I don't think anybody's ever going to get 6. Ever. Yeah. But I mean, for a quarterback, I don't think it's ever going to happen. So I think we got sidetracked there.
I'll tell you with the cheating thing, with the Spygate. What really shocked me about that is that Mangini got on ESPN and actually said he really wasn't doing anything wrong. He said he just knew that he was actually filming in a spot that he wasn't supposed to film. Everybody to this day still films at the games. They just have to film in a certain spot. And he goes, Bill was he was flexing his muscles, basically saying, screw you. I'm gonna do it here. Catch me if you can. So he said something about it, and he goes, he thought it was his way of trying to intimidate his former
boss man, yeah,
his assistant coach. Right. So he goes, I really regret doing it, because he goes, he really didn't do anything wrong. And he goes, the funny thing about it is, he goes, if you do tape, the only teams that really means taping anything against would be your own division, not anybody outside the division, because you only play them once.
Right.
So for them to actually see that would be stupid. Now, they got 3 tapes from it. None of the tapes really showed anything on there. And it was all speculation. And ESPN came out and said that they did absolutely have those defensive signals. And then they retracted it at 1 o'clock in the morning about 2 years ago.
And people still quote it like it happened.
Exactly. So this is where they're putting stuff out there. I don't quite agree with it. Now, with the Deflategate, everybody freaks out about that. The ball pressure really has nothing to do with anything. In fact, it would be better if we ran the ball. We didn't run the ball the first half of the game. And if you would have taken – and so when we came out and they had regular pressure on it, not only did Brady throw better, but the whole team played better. But I actually remember in the court system, when it made it to the court, the judge asked for the pressure of the Colts balls. Their balls were also underinflated about the same amount of time. What they did have was that they allowed the Colts to bring the balls in at halftime because they knew that this was going to happen, let them warm up a little bit so they weren't as drastic as the Patriots balls, which kind of shocked me a little bit. But when the judge saw that, that's why he threw out the whole case and said, screw this. And then the NFL came back and went back and forth. So it's really stupid how people do this stuff. They don't really look at all the aspects. But like you said, what are you going to get from them stretching? I mean, they stretch with their left leg, so they're probably going to be using their right legs to take off on running or something. It's stupid, you know?
It's also ridiculous to they never truly proved anything. No. Deflategate with Tom, asking those guys to do that. If they did it, I don't know. I still think they did something, but I don't care. I'm a diehard fan. I mean, unless they're out there doing bad things to kids, you could probably get away with murder with me. Well,
That's right.
I was an Aaron Hernandez fan, so anyway, he didn't get away with it. But it's not even funny. My bad. But my point is this: the team was. What team could recover from that? Who could lose? Maybe the Saints this year, but could the Packers lose Aaron Rodgers in the first 4 games of the year and come out of there 3-1 using two backup quarterbacks?
Probably not.
I mean, and now Garoppolo's got the huge contract in San Francisco, and Jacoby's he's starting in Indianapolis thanks to Luck bailing out all of a sudden. Yeah, maybe we had 2 diamonds in a rough there because they're both starting quarterbacks in the league, but who can make that adjustment? And then still, and I don't remember how that season ended. Oh, I do. And still go on and win the Super Bowl. So, pretty crazy.
Now, our offensive line, this is a big problem. And I don't know if it's because we lost 2 of our major people in there, and I don't know how healthy they are. I think this could be our biggest kibosh going forward into the season deep, especially when we come up to a team like the Chiefs or the Eagles or anything like that. What do we need to do to fix that? What do you think?
At this point, I don't know, because there's no free agents out there that you can go and sign that's going to be any better than anybody on the roster at this point. I truly think, Belichick and that team, Scarnecchia is a fantastic offensive line coach. So having this, I think time is going to make them better. Some people are, I think Watson coming back is or being activated is going to make them better. But at this point, unless everybody keeps talking about the trade, they're Stephon Diggs wants out of Minnesota. I don't know if New England may want to think about making a trade for an offensive lineman here. But at this point too, we're quarter of the way through the season. Suddenly, that's amazing how fast that happened. But what I think time is gonna get them better. And as soon as because the Patriots are kind of one-dimensional right now. You run the ball, the longest run of the year so far out of Michelle has been 10 yards. So, hey, that's not good. He had a great year last year. Maybe it's a rookie, second-year hangover. But Rex Burkhead is by far the best runner we have right now because I think he makes his own hole because he's big enough and he's strong enough. I mean, Michelle's he's got to have a hole, but once he gets through it, he's real trouble. But I think the tight end work will help. And I think this week you'll see a more healthy Julian Edelman, and because he just couldn't get open last week. And I mean, truly, a good running game frees up the passing game, and a good passing game frees up the running game. So We'll see. And I mean, truly, the running game is key to not keeping Brady healthy. I mean, the play action has got to work, and it's not It's not working right now, but I keep saying it. This is a get right game. This is a good opportunity for everybody, including breaking in a new old kicker to welcome him to the fact that he wants a ring and he's probably going to get one.
And we've seen it blossom late in the season, anyways. I mean, our defense was on and off last year, really cold through the first maybe half of the season. But then look what they did in the postseason and the Super Bowl. They were shut down. Yeah. And it's not much different than what we have now. We have most of those guys that came back. We have a few new people, but generally it was the same people. So it's like they finally clicked, and it took them almost a year to do that. So I'm hoping that it doesn't take as long this year for our offensive line, for our, for the love of God, but if it does, it does. They always seem to come out of it. That's for sure.
No, and there's no doubt that the defense is going to carry this team the first half of the season. There's no doubt. And as they do, and because they can, and you're right, it's when they become a unit, it's going to be so much better.
And I know it's still early in the season. Everybody tells me, being undefeated means nothing. It's still so new. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But I'm intrigued by wondering who would be the one to take that person out. Like, for instance, the Buccaneers beating the Rams last week. Did not expect that at all. And, some of these other teams that were undefeated lost to teams that you don't expect to do it. So I hope that we don't lose anymore. I don't hope that we don't lose any, the rest of the season. But if we are going to lose, who do you think would do it? For me, I personally think that our biggest problem, believe it or not, is the Giants. Not because of the fact that they're good or bad, but they seem to have our number. Well, and it doesn't matter how good we are or how bad we are, we lose to them. But I think after that, it would be probably the Eagles, the Cowboys, or the Chiefs, in my opinion.
So I was going to say the Giants too. Only because I'm going to say the Giants because they play them in 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, we have the Redskins. There's no chance the Redskins are going to beat maybe anybody this year. Giants are after that. Daniels is their starting quarterback now. They benched Eli. And the Patriots were high on him. They were talking about maybe taking him in the draft. But Belichick doesn't lose to rookie quarterbacks. He doesn't do it. I think he's lost one time to a rookie quarterback. And that's only because I saw him twice in the season. Sadly, I think it was Mark Sanchez. But, and I may be talking out of my rear end there, but the Giants scare me. The Eagles are the Eagles. You don't know what you're getting every week, though, with them. Yeah. Clearly, Dallas is putting up some points, but they lost to the Saints last week in a backup Teddy Bridgewater. So looking way down, which is still 9-10 weeks away, week 14, and the one that I circled a long time ago against the Chiefs. What I don't recall, maybe is home or away.
That one is home.
For New England.
Yeah, they're coming here.
So that, if they're both 14-0 at that point, that'll be probably break records when it comes to viewership. And I'm sure the entire country at that point will be rooting for the Chiefs. But wow, that would be awesome. I don't honestly, if the offense can just get right, I think Watson coming back, and if he can establish if you can get 75 yards on the ground every game, the Pats they're going to be hard to beat. Kansas City's beatable. They almost lost to Detroit last week.
And the week before that too.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been dominant. I mean, a couple games have been absolutely dominant, but I don't know. When Patriots get a little more consistent competition, I think the Giants actually will help make them better. Now, meanwhile, the last two times the Giants and Patriots played in the preseason and had a regular season game, they ended up playing each other in the Super Bowl. That's not happening this year, but I'd like for the Patriots to be playing somebody in the Super Bowl this year.
I mean, even that one year that we played the Giants, it came down to the Giants were playing like crap all season, and it came down to a field goal for us, a crazy long field goal to win that game. So, I mean, people say that, they're crap this year. That doesn't mean we can't lose to them. And usually the teams that are crap are the ones that play us like it's their Super Bowl because they want to make a statement.
Absolutely. Now, on top, if New England gets past all those teams you listed, if I'm not mistaken, I think they finished the season with Buffalo.
Yeah.
All right. and that's at home.
Yeah.
The question is, what does Kansas City do if say hypothetically they had lost to New England already? How many losses do they have? And does Belichick now? I think he would because they did last time. But would he, if he had a 2-3 game lead and had the first seed locked up? Do you rest guys? You have the bye week already, and you've had plenty of bye weeks to begin this season. So what do you do? Do you actually go for it? I think you do. I think at that point, the football historian in him would want to go back and avenge that 18-1 season where you would have much preferred that one to be in week 1 through 16. But this team, I think, has, and people talked about it way too early. And I don't, as a Patriots fan, it's hard not to because we saw it happen. We saw that 16-0 season. We saw it being that close to that stupid catch and Eli Manning to this minute. I respect him. There's no doubt I respect Eli Manning, what he did. He's get just as many Super Bowl rings as his brother does. His brother's a far superior quarterback. But he was able to, he was David against Goliath, and they had no problem doing that. But man, would it be awesome to, and that's my point that I wanted to bring up. 19-0, win the Super Bowl, 7th Super Bowl for Brady, 9th for Belichick. You got to go home at that point.
And the 100th season too.
How do you have to go out? You have to go home at that point and just hang it up and say, listen, come and get me. I'm the best ever. The both of them. And nobody, I don't think either one of those guys are arrogant. I mean, Belichick, he changes his boat to, what is it, 8 rings now? Yeah, 8 rings. So he changes to 9, but he's not, you can tell he's humble. He's not, I hate to sound like this, but Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's he's a smug SOB.
Yeah.
And I appreciate him being smug because he threw the ball when he had Marshawn Lynch. I mean, it was, but that was just good coaching, that play. I mean, that was Butler recognizing it, and it happened. But I don't know. I don't know who could beat them. But who can beat them is New England.
Yeah.
Patriots can beat themselves.
That's right.
But it's rare. That's really rare for New England to implode and lose to anybody truly lately. So, but it happens. I mean, just like last year when you have Gronk on the field to defend against a Hail Mary. Well, that was dumb. That turned out to be pretty stupid, but it worked out. I mean, you can forget about that because they walked away with some new hardware. And
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you made a couple of great points, and that's the Manning. Peyton Manning was probably a far superior quarterback, especially during the regular season. But can you imagine if there was only one Manning, and who was able to have the success he had during the regular season, and then have Eli's postseason magic together? They'd probably have as many rings as we have.
Yeah, that's probably. I don't doubt it. I mean, Peyton Manning. Now that he's retired, I think I enjoy him more.
Yeah, me too.
He's funny. I think he's funny. I think his commercials are funny. But there's no disrespect to him. I don't personally, as a fan, as a person, I don't understand the hate. Listen, and this is where we'll differ. We're talk about baseball for a second. I'm a diehard Red Sox fan, and you're willing to root for 2 teams, and so, but you've grown up hating the Yankees and going from for the Red Sox for those years since 1918, all those years watching the Yankees win 20 plus World Series. Holy crap! But when Derek Jeter retired recently, when Mariano Rivera retired recently, I had nothing. I don't hate any of these players. These guys were amazing.
They were.
And it was a blessing to be able to watch our teams compete against them or root for them. And they did it right. They're not, those guys that go out there and they, just chase the money. Alex Rodriguez. I can't stand that guy. And I can't even stand to listen to him call a baseball game because I think he's a cheater. And that sounds funny coming out of a guy wearing a Patriots jersey. But I don't think if you're doing it right, Tom Brady's never disrespected anybody. Belichick's never. Belichick quietly mocks people, I think, with his smug answers, but I just don't think he doesn't want to tip his hand. That's all that is. I don't think he wants to give anything away. We didn't know Gostkowski was hurt. I had no clue that he had a hip injury. He was never sadly, he was never on an injury report. But there was an injury there clearly, and it's long term. So why wasn't it on the report? I'm surprised the league hasn't fined him for that. So I don't know.
I don't know either. And, I know exactly what you're talking about, especially with Alex Rodriguez. I said that the one that we took Alex Rodriguez, we would never win the World Series again. And honestly, I was partially right. They never really did, except for in 2009 when they christened the new Yankee Stadium. But we have not. They haven't really done anything since, and I think it cursed them. I know that there's a lot of curses going back and forth, but I think one thing I really liked about the Yankees is that they didn't play for the money. They didn't play for the egos. They played because they loved the game. And Jeter loved the game.
Oh, yeah.
Rivera loved the game. I mean, everybody out there was just get to first base. That's all that matters. You don't have to swing for the fences to get the glory.
You need runners to score. Absolutely.
Exactly. And I think that's what made them so special. And, I got to say, my very first Red Sox game, I lived up there my whole time, and I never went to a Yankees game, never went to a Red Sox game until I came down here, believe it or not. So me and my grandfather went up to Fenway Park, and we got to watch the Yankees and Red Sox. And it was a week and 3 days after Joe Torre took the helm of the team.
Right.
And it was Derek Jeter's first year. And, they cracked a total of 17 points between the two teams. The Yankees beat them that game by 1 point. Almost all of them were home runs over the Green Monster. Incredible game. I mean, I had so much fun. I loved both teams. I didn't want to root against any of them because I was having so much fun watching them go out there and just crack home runs over the Monster and stuff like that. It was great. And
I think you're the only person in the entire country that can say you root for the Yankees and the Red Sox. You know that, right?
I do know that, and I do get a lot of flack for it. And
I was giving you flack back in high school about it, but it's I still love you like a brother, so it's good.
Sure. And see, the thing about it is, I had a guy play. I had one of my family members play on the Red Sox before they became the official Red Sox, and one on the Yankees. So it's like I have a love-hate for both of them, And it was tough. It was really tough growing up like that and having to sit there, and one side of the room was Red Sox, one side of the room was Yankees, and I'm sitting in the middle, and I just want to make my grandfather happy. I want to make my great uncle happy, and it was tough, but I love them. I love the AL East. I'm not as big a fan of the other teams, but when you really think about it, Yankees have 27. The Red Sox have 8 or 9 now, and then you have the Orioles with
8. Yeah,
8. And you have Orioles with I believe 2, and I think Toronto has 2. That makes almost up the entire 100-something years of World Series in one division. That's crazy.
And that doesn't, you don't hear people talking trash about the American League East, just the AFC East.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they do that either, because for the longest time, the Dolphins were the number 1 team. Every other team sucked, and they never said anything about it. They never said, "Oh, Dan Marino's so good because he's playing in a crappy division." They never said that, but they're doing it with the Patriots, and I think it's just another way of trying to push them down. But if you really think about it, if you took the Patriots out of that equation, they usually win about 5 or 6 games per season. Sometimes they come out at 50-50. Like we had one year where I think the Bills were the better team, or the Miami Dolphins were, and the Bills were underneath it. Both of them had a winning record. And we were one of the few divisions that had at least 3 teams with a winning record in it.
Well, you remember the year after 2007 when Brady went down with the knee injury, 2008, the Patriots finished with Matt Castle quarterback in third place at 11-5.
Yeah.
And didn't make the playoffs. 11-5 didn't make the playoffs. And that's there are teams nowadays that go to make the playoffs certain divisions under 500.
Right.
So,
but I mean, we kill everybody so bad throughout the season that we have such a huge differential between the other teams. Like we'll probably win. Even if they come in second place, we're going to probably still beat them by 8 games. And it looks like it's a complete blowout when really it's not. If you really take away some of that, it's really close. If the Patriots won as many as the other ones did, which used to happen, it would probably be almost a 3-way tie for that division win sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't doubt it.
I remember days. I remember years where we get 2 wins and we were excited, and these people are yelling and screaming on these fan groups. They're like, "Oh man, we're gonna lose like 4 games. I can't believe it. We're gonna suck." And I'm like, dude, I remember when we won 4 games. We won as many games as we lost.
Right.
So, be thankful for what you have. Losing 4 games isn't the end of the world. In fact, we're still better than most of the teams out there.
This is what's happening is we're getting old, and people don't remember the Patriots pre-Bledsoe,
Mm-hmm.
and and even Bledsoe, he didn't. Those teams weren't as consistently good as Brady. The Patriots haven't had a losing record in holy crap. It's
20
been
years.
a long time. I think their worst record was 9-7. And that's insane.
And that's still a winning record.
And that's why everybody hates them at this point because they've been so consistently good. But trying to discover the formula that they use for success, think of in a league that is designed around parity, with the salary cap and the fact that and we'll say my about the NFL, you can get cut and you don't get paid. Baseball, the Mets are still paying Bobby Bonilla $1 million a year on that contract they signed 20 years ago. This league is designed for parity. You're supposed to not have this. And the Patriots just watch. We'll do it again. Here, we'll do it again. Here, we'll do it again. Well, the 50-year-old quarterback will do it again. I mean, I don't. It's been a true blessing. But you're a passionate Patriots fan, and I grow. I hate to sound like a jerk, but I grow bored with these bandwagon kids or these kids that only know Tom Brady, and what a blessing for them to not have to go through what we went through. And I'm making it sound like it's a personal loss when the Patriots lose. That's how it feels. That's how it feels to me. I mean, the reason I'm sitting where I'm sitting, oddly enough, and I know you know the story, but the reason I'm sitting where I'm sitting is because of the Patriots. My parents owned a restaurant in Foxborough. It was called The Huddle. It was about a quarter of a mile south of the old Sullivan Stadium before it became Foxborough Stadium. And the Patriots sucked. Those 2 seasons, they were 1-15. Next year, they were 5-11, and they were garbage. And because of that, along with a bad economy in that part of Massachusetts, we owned the restaurant for 2 years, and we sold the restaurant for really pennies on the dollar. And they actually turned the restaurant into a recycling center when it was all said and done. But the reason for where I am now at home, in Florida, sadly, because my dad said if we're going to be poor, we're going to be warm. So we moved to Florida. It's a blessing. My wife, my 3 dogs, my kid, my career. It's only, and this I may be making this too much. It's because of the Patriots. If they were a better football team, my life would be totally different. I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have these dogs over here. I wouldn't have been in my career for 22 years. But it's because of New England. Now, who knows? Maybe if there was a Bledsoe that happened 2 years beforehand, maybe my life would be monetarily better. There's no way I would say it'd be better in love. I mean, there's nothing more. My wife, my daughter, my world. So this happened for a reason. I consider myself a Christian man, a godly man. There's no doubt this was God's path. But New England Patriots are part of the reason why I'm here. It's funny. It's cool to say, and people are like, what do you mean the Patriots are the reason why you're sitting here? And I tell that story, and I'm like, I guess it makes sense. So it's there's no. I haven't missed a game since DirecTV came out with their NFL Sunday Ticket. I'll admit I watched some of those games at work, all the way through, and that's fine. I don't care at this point. But the fact that as a Patriots fan, you get, especially since Brady took over, we've had 2+ extra seasons of football based on all the playoff games that they've had. So that's mind blowing too. I mean, it's been a great ride.
But I don't think people understand what Foxborough was before the new stadium and every Gillette Stadium. There was nothing there. I mean, literally, it was like a small little New England town, maybe had a population of 1,500.
Yep.
So, your business was there based upon the traffic coming in for the football game. If they didn't win, you didn't do well.
They never sold out. They never sold out. We had to listen to the game because they were blacked out.
Yeah.
And the only time we made any money with that place was a concert or if the monster trucks came. I mean, ideally, if an economy might have been better up there, it would have been different. There was a dog track behind the stadium that closed. Foxborough is really a trucking hub where it's to Boston to Providence, and it's a center. But there was a trucking recession, and you're right, it was a sleepy town. There was nothing there. But holy crap, I'd love to go see it now. I haven't seen pictures.
It's
But
gorgeous.
it's got to be amazing.
It is. I mean, I remember I took my wife there. We went to the Jets Thursday night game. It was the first time they really had Thursday night games, and that was the year that was the time when Moss caught the ball at the last second in the end zone to send it in overtime. Brett Favre comes down and shatters my dream. But it was pretty cool to see it. I mean, they have a lot more stores out there than they had before. They have fan experiences out there. You look out and you see like this huge stadium. You see all these little houses. You see businesses coming up over there. None of that was there when before I moved down here to Florida myself. Right. So it is a thriving, wonderful little community right now.
Well,
and
I'm sure Route 1 is more than one lane on each side now. I'm sure it's three
yes.
lanes wide. So yeah.
Yes. And I remember those days, and I still remember the days where I go outside. It was cold. I'd be putting on my little Patriots shirt, and I had like a little corduroy red Patriots hat. I'd be playing football out back. I miss those days. I do. And it really made me excited for fall, was to play in my football stuff, because it's way too hot to wear during the summer up there. But now that's light clothes compared to what I have to wear down here, because it's hot as hell down here.
That's crazy. It's funny. So, my wife is up in Connecticut right now, and she's up there for work, and I was my heart exploded a little bit. She goes, "Babe, I could live up here." And I'm like, "You could live in New England? Yeah, all right, let's talk about it." I mean, I got a few years before I can retire and move anywhere, but man, that would be. I mean, it's also 59 degrees up there right now, and where we are, it's probably still 85 outside. So
I love Connecticut. The only thing keeping me away from there is I can't stand the politics, and it's so darn expensive.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I'm here. But I love the houses. Everything about me is New England. I mean, I try to have my house like New England. I try to buy New England stuff. I like to cook New England food. So for me to be down here, it's just not the same. And I love going to cemeteries. My grandfather used to take me there. We do, grave rubbings and stuff like that. You don't see any of those like cemeteries down here at all. No. And I miss that. I took my wife up there. We went ghost hunting. We went to the Green Lady Cemetery. It's like 1 a.m. And the way that the fog rolled in, it rolled in halfway up the stones. It wasn't above us. It was right on the ground. And it was the creepiest thing we've ever seen. And it's a haunted cemetery. You could look it up, the Green Lady Cemetery of Burlington. So as I'm going in there, she's like, "Are you afraid of the ghost?" Because she goes, "This looks crazy. I've never seen anything like this." I said, "This is New England. This is New England fog." I said, "This doesn't scare me. What scares me is the bears in the woods behind it."
Yeah, no doubt.
She didn't go out. She didn't. She's like, "No, I'm not going out there and ghost hunting with you. You can go have all the fun you want."
It sounds like you were trying to go bear hunting. Is what it sounded like. So.
Yeah, there are a lot of bears up there, but no, I was just saying that myself. But it was cool. You just don't see that down here. I mean, when you go trick or treating, you go by actual pumpkin patches. Down here, there was no pumpkin patches.
Nope.
And just the older houses, the salt box houses, the Victorian houses. Unless you go to Hyde Park down here, that's about the only place you're really going to see them. Maybe Brooksville, where you live, up in that area, it's got a lot of cool stuff. But it's just, there's something about New England I just love.
Yeah, it's just the history and the weather, and it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, we are about up to the hour, so I think we're going to have to wrap it up for this week. But I guess we should come back next week and do a recap of maybe the Redskins game that we have.
Well, do you want to do before we go? Do you want to do a score prediction?
Sure, let's do a score prediction.
I think you go first since I suggested it.
Okay. I'm going to say 38-14.
Wow. You giving what kind of 14 are you talking about?
I'm thinking what they're going to do is they're going to. Oh, I'm sorry, 13. I can't add. I was figuring they'll probably give up one touchdown, maybe, and I figure the other two would be a couple kicks.
Okay. I just don't see the Patriots giving up a touchdown to that team.
I hope not, too. I'm just trying to give them a little bit of credit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess like we were saying earlier, they're still it's an NFL caliber team. But man, they just seemed very ill prepared this week based on the stuff I've been reading and seeing on TV. You know what? I think the offense is still a little beat up. That line is a little beat up. I'm thinking 27-6, but it's going to be a comfortable 27-6. There's going to be no opportunity for that offense to do anything for Washington. You know what? One thing is I do fear is we saw some of it, and you see it out of Ndamukong Suh and Montez Burfict, who just got suspended for the season. You see some dirtiness, and I wonder sometimes, and that's what the offensive line scares me about. Is there a dirty guy out there willing to take Brady out or anybody out? You know, even if we lost Stephon Gilmore right now, or if Jamie Collins went down for any length of time, you know, Kyle Van Noy, who's quickly become one of my favorite Patriots.
Mine too.
You lose those guys, and that's a key cog. I mean, obviously Brady's the key, but you got to keep him safe. And I think there are dirty players out there that'll do that, and that scares me. But I think 27-6, and it'll be a walk away. But hopefully it's a get right game. Hopefully everybody gets lined up. So.
And I think we're going to have at least one pick six. I think some of that's going to come from defensive plays.
Does Devin McCourty get his 5th interception this week?
I think he will.
That's a nice streak he's got there. Four straight games. So
I think he will.
Cool.
All right. So shall we come back next week and talk about it and see what's going on in the NFL next week?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll be back next week talking more fun. If you're a Patriots fan, definitely join in. We want to hear from you. And we look forward to sharing some more stuff with you next week. So till then, take care, everybody.
If you liked the show today, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, share, and comment below. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook at The AME Experience, also Twitter at The AMEEX, and of course you can find us at www.theamemagazine.com.